Agricas debarker. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. This is from Amazon. It is for, I will be putting on a 445. They have a whole bunch of different models that fit different saws. So mine's going on a 445. Just got this the other day, unboxing it and installing it, and then I'll run it for a while and give my thoughts on how I like it. A pair of cheap safety gloves, manual, looks like they have a bunch of different styles and models. And all the parts. We got the replacement drive sprocket, the clutch. This drives off of a V-belt. A lot of the debarkers you see run off the chains and mount on the bar itself. This does not. This has its own mounting bar here, and then it runs with a V-belt. Looks like a couple extra blades and the tools for installing. The V-belt guard with a couple more bits. The main mounting bar. So this mounts on your saw there like the bar does. This is stout. I'm surprised how heavy this is. That's solid round stock, and that's 5/16 flat bar. It's actually got some heft to it. And here's the head. Looks like that's it in the box. Here's the head. Got the blades on it. They're all saran wrapped up. Mount something like that. So far, initial unboxing, I'm impressed with how heavy it is. Maybe that'll come back to bite me when I have to use it, because it is heavy. But it also seems fairly stout and heavy duty. Okay, I got everything pulled out of the packaging. I think I got it all figured out as to what it is and where it goes. Got the main head here, the wrapping pulled off. This bracket here, this mounts instead of your bar, uses your same chain tensioning screw. It mounts in here and just clamps on with this Allen head screw. This needs to go in all the way, otherwise your belt won't be long enough, your V-belt. And then you do have to clock this the right way, square to this piece, otherwise the head will be crooked when you're holding the saw. There's not any witness marks or anything, so I just eyeballed it with a square, try and make sure the head is square to the mounting bracket. Have the guard, as well as the hardware for it. I don't know that that guard's going to be used much. Belt, spacer bushing. This replaces your oil pump. This is the clutch drum with the V-belt pulley on it and the bearing inside of it. I was impressed with this. I was expecting it to be a lot cheaper, lighter material. This is pretty stout, and you can see the tool marks. This was turned on a lathe. It looks like this bearing is pressed in. I believe on the factory one, which I'll take off in a minute, this bearing just floats in there because it's considered a consumable. But yeah, I was impressed with this clutch. It's pretty stout. Some of the ones I saw online, some of the other brands, their clutches were just like a factory clutch, factory chainsaw clutch with a pulley either tack welded on or pop riveted on. I'm impressed with this. This is a good clutch, or appears to be anyways. I haven't used it yet. This deal here is the piston holding tool. The idea is you take your spark plug out, you screw this in the spark plug hole, and then the piston will hit that as you're trying to unthread the existing clutch, and it keeps the piston from turning. I don't think I'll need this. You can usually just smack that clutch off with a hammer. I suppose this is good to have for other things. This is a spare bolt and washer for mounting the blades to the head, and they have some sort of pin there. I'm not sure what that does, but it goes in the hole. It comes with 2 spare blades. There's 4 on the head, so you get 2 spares. This is the gauge for setting the depth on setting the blades in the head. I'm not sure. I'll have to play around with it once I start using it. I'm sure setting those lower or deeper will determine how aggressive it takes the bark off. So this is your little gauge. Probably pretty easy to lose. They could probably put a key ring on there or something, make it easier to keep tabs on. And then the Allen key that comes with it, and that is for this screw as well as this screw. So it is nice that they use the same size Allen key on both of those. Okay, I think I'm ready to put it on. See if I can get this done. So taking the factory cover off. So here is where they say to insert the piston holding tool after removing the spark plug. I think I can tap that clutch off with a screwdriver. Let me grab a hammer. I don't know about all saws, but on this one it has these notches, and this is a reverse thread. I believe all chainsaws will be reverse thread. So we'll thread it this way to take it off. So you should be able to put a screwdriver in that notch and smack it with a hammer, and it'll pop it loose. Famous last words. And that was easy. Easier than taking the spark plug out. Factory clutch, factory drum and drive sprocket with that little caged needle bearing. I don't think, yeah, we don't use this one because the new clutch already has one with it. So we'll set those aside, don't need those. Then it says to remove the oil pump screw. So those threads on the back are what turn the oil pump, and they are turned by the sprocket. It locks in there, and that's what turns the oil pump and puts the oil out on your bar. We don't use any of that. Everything else should be able to stay. So this bushing goes in the place of this, just slides on the shaft, and it doesn't interact with anything. It's just a spacer and a bushing. So that just slides on there. Then the clutch slides on just like the factory one. I'm actually going to put some grease on this bearing before I install it, just to make sure that's got some grease on it. It's just a heavy, fairly waterproof grease. Works good on stuff that's going to be taking some abuse. hopefully put that on there without putting it inside the clutch. Mosquitoes are really bad out here. Okay, so that drum's on. Then the clutch goes back on with your marks out. And remember, this is a reverse thread. And then it'll tighten up with use, so I'm going to go ahead and just smack it tight with the screwdriver and hammer again. So I believe that's on as it should be. The next step is mounting this. This bar here is substantially thicker than a chainsaw bar would be. This is probably 5/16 flat stock. I'm not sure what that's going to do with our clutch cover and the chain brake. But that's sitting on there. Go ahead and put the belt. The belt doesn't have any arrows to indicate it's directional, so it should be able to go on either way. Something like that, and then the chain tensioner should be able to tension that up just like the bar. So I'll put the cover on there. I'm going to need to adjust the tensioning screw so it drops in that hole. Putting the bar nut on. Just adjusting the tensioning screw here to tighten the belt. I don't really know what's a good tension on that. If it starts slipping, I can tighten it up. And I'll tighten this down. It's like a chainsaw bar. Okay, I think it's front heavy. Definitely got that weight. You're feeling that. That is quite front heavy. I would think it's still better than the Log Wizard, which would mount, out at the end of a 20-inch bar. So this is, I'd estimate that's 14 inches out. So if you have a Log Wizard brand, they mount on a bar, which would put them out another 8 or 10 inches. So even if this has more weight, it's closer in. Hopefully that'll be easier to handle. I'll go ahead and put the guard on since I'm doing the video. There's 2 screws and spacers. Short one and long one. The long one goes at the front hole, short one goes at the back hole. These are, take a 10mm wrench. They have some, they got this on, they have an adjustment slot in there. I'm just going to slide it all the way back for now and snug these up. That one's just threaded into aluminum, so I'm not going to go too tight on it. Okay, I believe that is everything. I don't see any spare parts. See how quickly it'll start up. This does throw the balance off a little bit. It's rather front heavy. I have a pretty good pile of logs to mill up, so I'll be using this to take the bark off where the saw blade runs so that I don't run it through sand and grit. A lot of my logs have been skidded instead of carried, so there's mud in the bark. I'll do another video once I have some more time on it and actually get to test it. Yeah, thank you for watching.